What's happening, everyone? And welcome to the October 23rd edition of Systems Lab Live. Here I am, Ashley Schuler, back once again, excited to be with you all because we're going to be talking about project kickoff meetings. Our question of the day is this, and many people ask me this question. It's in some of my favorite Slack group messages and things, which is how do we best structure a project kickoff meeting? And my friends, what I want to do is I want you to share this live stream with about 5 of your very best project managers and operational leaders. Tell them to pull up, tell them it's that time of the week. This is about how we as project managers can excel, how we can grow. This is about skills building. This is about making sure that we are doing our very bestest. What's going on, Christy? So great to see you. All right, we're going to get things started. Please, in the comments, say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Tell me what you're working on right now. All the things which I think are super important to know because it helps in context with our conversation here tonight. I was debating. I was like, should I go with the good notes today? Should I, just sketch it out and have a convo with you all? Should I go Miro style with you all? What should I do? But I'm loving this brand new app. It is called what is it called? It's called app.pitch. And it's just lovely. Shout out to Zen Pilot because I saw that they use this particular software for a presentation. And so I was like, this looks exciting. I'm like very excited to use it. I was like, come through, come through, come through. So here we are talking about how to run a successful kickoff meeting. We're in a series. The series is focusing on particular case studies within the project management space, things that I've experienced, things that you all have experienced. And so I'm bringing together some real life stories and things and, just wanting to share with y'all, just wanting to share. If you want more behind the scenes content, please be sure to subscribe to my Substack. I'm writing there 3 times a week and I'm loving it over there. We are having a ball. Just like I said, so many really good intangible lessons that are being learned every day. And I'm just sharing really good insights, some tips, some frameworks, some things that I think would be beneficial to doing work better. All right, let's get it started. We're going to go with our question of the day for our agenda. What is a project kickoff meeting? How to run a successful kickoff meeting? And then drop your questions all throughout the presentation of the live stream. So let me know kind of what you're thinking about. And so, yeah, it's good. It's good. The question that I want to ask is, what is the best way to structure a project kickoff meeting? And I'm going to say this, just for background, have many of years in policy, government, nonprofit industry, private sector. I have like a short stint in the private sector. What's going on? It was called agency chief. I think they're a different company now, but everybody does kickoff meetings differently. And in one of my favorite Slack groups, shout out to the digital project managers group, we talked about this like a while back. Like what do you do for project kickoff meetings? Like, how do you structure it? Like, what's the flow? What should be included? So we're going to talk about that because there's so many different ways to do it. And let's get started, folks. We got a lot to cover in the next 25, 30-ish minutes. So what are project kickoff meetings? Okay, what are they? And a project kickoff meeting is a chance to meet with team members and stakeholders before the project starts to align on key details and get buy-in on critical milestones. So something that I think is really critical to understand is that Having a project kickoff meeting ensures that everybody understands, number one, the agreed upon scope, what we're doing and what we're not doing, the deliverables, what is going to be at the end of this road trip that we're all journeying together. What is it that we're accomplishing? What is it that we're producing? We also want to make sure we have resources. We have all of the right resources needed for the project. And there's different types of details when we talk about the scope. So we're talking a lot about making sure we understand, what's required to get it done. What does it mean for the client to have satisfaction for this particular project? And I think this is the meeting to do that. And making sure that you are laying down the rules in terms of who is going to communicate the status updates, like when the milestones will be completed, when the deliverables will be completed. How are you going to arrange meetings and such? So I think this is a really good opportunity to lay down all of those types of things. If you're on Instagram, you may be thinking to yourself, I think the screen is a little small. Hop on over to YouTube. It's we're here for you. We want to see you. Okay. Just want to make that clear. How to run a successful project kickoff meeting. Let's talk about the types of kickoff meetings. And there's an internal kickoff meeting with just your team. And let's be honest, like if we're talking about you being in your corporate space, maybe you're in healthcare, IT, finance, maybe you work in, maybe you work in federal government, state government, you may have just internal meetings within your organization or department, right? And so that's an internal kickoff meeting. So that's just you and the team. External, meaning that it's outward facing and it's with the client or other key stakeholders. Now, the elements of the kickoff meetings for both of these may not really make a difference. It's all just going to depend, on your organization, how mature you all are, kind of the scope and everything. So just so that you know, there is the internal kickoff meeting, which is just the team. And then there's the external, which is the team and the client or the stakeholder. Make sense? I hope it does. Be sure to put comments so that I know what you guys are understanding or not understanding. Yeah, let me know. Let me know. What was that song? Let me know. I feel like that's Aaliyah. My goodness. How to prepare for a kickoff meeting, defining what you need. So I'm a big proponent. One of the things, if you haven't been following me for a long time, I'm going to make it very crystal clear. I love LOVE, productive meetings. Hello. The key word is productive meetings. I love a good productive meeting. Let me tell you something, because I believe that if you do these meetings right, and not just the kickoff meeting, but just any meeting right, that you can really just help save a project, help save a lot of like chaos within the mind about what should be done and disorganization and, miscommunication. You got to do the meetings right. You got to conduct them right. You got to put them all together right. So I've done lots of different types of live streams on preparing meetings. But so we're going to walk through, what that looks like. And I have a couple cool stories I definitely want to share with you on the kickoff meeting. Okay, defining what you need. So a couple things with defining what you need. You want to look at it from this perspective, like setting the agenda, meaning, okay, what are you going to talk about? What are you going to talk about? Now, outlining objectives and the purpose, that's going to be a part of the agenda. But I think when you are formulating the kickoff meeting, you really want to know, okay, what's my purpose? Who's going to be invited? Is this going to be virtual or in person? I just wanted to outline the snacks or the breakfast, because I have had kickoff meetings where it has been in person. The last case study that we did for the Art of Collaboration? Well, one of the ones where I was telling you all about how I was leading out. I was a project manager for the federal advisory council. So we had a kickoff meeting. Okay, we had a kickoff meeting to kick off the council events and activities. So we had snacks, we had some breakfast, right? And so a huge piece of preparing this particular kickoff meeting was knowing who we needed, which was all of the different chairpersons that were a part of the council. Technology, we had to do location, where were we going to host it? We needed to outline the objectives and the purpose, but also even within the agenda, we had to think through, because people were flying in on their own dime. Okay, we had to think through, how are we going to make this particular meeting special? Should we have some special speakers? So when you think about setting the agenda, you want to know, what is the tone? What's the tone that you're going to set with the agenda? Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense in the comments, because I think this is something that is instrumental to what we're talking about here today. Technology tools, if we fast forward to present day, there's so much that you can do, especially if it's a virtual kickoff meeting. So you can use Whimsical, you can use Miro, you can use your project management tool, Google Slides. You want to look at a slide deck that you want to put together that will have different elements of the presentation of what you want to put together. So that's everything from the project scope, from who is on the project itself, to what are some of the key deliverables, key milestones. You want to have a high level schedule that is on the presentation as well. So that's defining what you need. So there's a lot to think through. So if you have in person, you're going to have to think a little bit more about the logistics, the people, where they're sitting, getting directions out, that type of thing. And that's going to be in our next slide that we have, how to prepare for a successful kickoff meeting with your team. So here's what you want to do as well, because I'm a big proponent of not working alone. We don't do this anymore, people. We ain't about this, siloed life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not about this life where we are, doing things by ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't do that. And so I think that it is very important that that you don't do this by your own self. You know what I'm saying? You can't do it. So you get your team together and you start looking at the agenda. You start looking at identifying and clarifying roles and responsibilities. You want to make sure that the lead graphic designer or the lead engineer is there and they're present. You want to review and assign presenters for the presentation itself, right? That's exactly what you want to do. You want to make sure that there is a tech check, right? You want to go and start utilizing the technology that is there, right? Like, you want to make sure that you have, test drive? You want to test drive, and you want to do a run through of the technology that you are utilizing. So for some of the kickoff meetings that I've done that's been virtual, I've had to just test out how to share my screen. Hey, we're in 2024. We are still on the struggle bus. Some of us have got our passes and we are on the bus and we still can't share our screen, but that is okay. Hey, that is okay. That is all right. That's just the nature of what we're doing here. Yeah, that's what we want to let you know. So sending a calendar invite in kickoff email. So this is good because after you've met with your team, after you've identified and clarified roles and responsibilities, you've completed the slide deck, then you have a checklist. And so I'll say this, like, I've been a part of many kickoff meetings. And so there's just been a lot of prep work ahead with understanding who's going to draft the email, who has the agenda, making the phone call, ensuring people are going to actually be there, coordinating a date. Hello, somebody. That's a full-time job in itself. Yeah, that's a full-time job in itself. Any questions so far? I just wanted to take a beat just to make sure that you all kind of understand what's going on. But yeah, this is definitely something that I think is just, let me just tell you, ain't nothing like a good kick-off meeting to make sure everybody understands what's going on. What's good about meeting with your team is that you can then understand that from a PM perspective, you don't have to be the one to talk the whole time. So one thing I would say that you would want to think through is, do I need a meeting facilitator? And that could be you. That could absolutely be you. I don't know if you and your team have, or your organization or company that you work for, I don't know if you have lead or senior PMs, deputy PMs, project coordinators and things. So you may want to think through who would be suited best to be the project coordinator. And that might be the person that drives the behind the scenes work and may double as co-facilitator of the project kickoff meeting. Yeah, come on. I love it. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Please let me know. D-Day, how to run a successful project kickoff meeting. D-Day is here, y'all. D-Day is here. So what do you do when it's the day of? I'll tell you something. I used to wake up super early. I tell you what, especially when we were in person, super early. I did not want to miss a beat. I didn't want to miss not one thing. Okay, I didn't want to be late. If you are, located in the DMV area, Metro be metroing. Okay, the red line be redlining, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So that's something I definitely want to ensure that I was just on time. So whenever we would have, and I'm going to go back to the NACI meetings, the Federal Advisory Council meetings. I'm telling you what, I'd be up at 5, up, ready, boop, 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 up and ready to go for setting up, for welcoming, for greeting, for putting out the little note cards, to making sure that we got juice. Everybody loves a good orange juice, okay? Making sure that we have printed agendas, making sure that there are the security people, not the security people, the security personnel, the security guards. They knew who was coming. We had a list. We were scanning people in. It was a whole operation. You know what I'm saying? Now, internal kickoff meetings, like we talked about a few minutes ago, where it is an agency-wide initiative. Same concept, except that we wanted to make sure that we had the key stakeholders in the room. Most of us were, we worked with each other, maybe on like different teams. And we had, an agenda. We went through the milestones and all that. So we're going to kind of go through, what's a part of D-Day. Like, what do you do when you actually have the meeting? Like, what actually happens? What actually happens? Okay, so inside of the meeting, you're going to do a few things. You are going to welcome everyone. You're going to greet. People will take their seats. If you're already on the virtual tip, people are already seated. Okay, maybe cameras on, cameras off. Perhaps you have a Miro board or a whimsical board, and you have an activity that you want to do. You may do an icebreaker. So you always want to make sure that you do an icebreaker, introduction. Okay, this is the meat of the meeting. Okay, The meat of the meeting is this agenda. This is your flow. So here's what we're looking at. You're reviewing the agenda. So you're doing project scope, roles and responsibilities, project success, deliverables, timeline, communication, and PM tech and next steps. So let's break down each one of those. So in this agenda, you're arranging it really how you see fit. So I'm playing it a little loosey-goosey right now because I want to make sure y'all definitely can, understand what's what. Project scope. So here's what you want to do. You want to have on a Google slide, a presentation deck, or something that's already been emailed out. Have what the project scope is. Review that, making sure that what everybody signed on the contract, what everybody's reading, that we make sure we are understanding what's going on. So, for example, when there was a contractor that I was working with another company, they were a part of the project kickoff meeting. We had the whole scope of work statement, which was like 20, 25 pages. It was a whole situation. It was like a whole PM plan, had the scope of work, all the things were going on there. So we had what we were going to do. We had the requirements listed out. We also had a timeline. Here's a sample timeline of what does this look like from now until the end of the project. So we had that. We had the listing of the key deliverables. We also talked roles and responsibilities, especially when you're dealing with from the context and perspective of a contractor in an organization like a company. You're going to want to make sure that as a PM, you know who you're going to be dealing with on a day-to-day basis. The contracting team could have, upwards to 20 to 25 people. There could be core people that are on this project that are, going to be interacting with you on a weekly basis. But you definitely want to make sure that we are identifying who is the top person, that PM, like who's on the same level as you, and who are, for example, engineers, graphic designers, IT specialists, those that do coding and things of that nature, your scrum masters, whomever these particular folks are. You want to make sure that you know who everybody is. Let's say, and this would be lovely. This is what I think should happen too. We're seeing a lot with event planning, where we're seeing the surge and the rise of events every 2 seconds, mastermind retreats and the like. I believe that even having a project kickoff meeting for this would be excellent. Let's see who just had a mastermind retreat. I'm just trying to think who had one. Well, or an event that I saw. Well, I'm just going to bring this up because this was last month. Jordan Gill, she's one of my old coaches, one of my first coaches at System Save Me. She's on Instagram. And this is just, again, I'm not someone that's a part of her organization, but I know she had a live event last month. I'm imagining that people like her would have internal project kickoff meetings. You know what I'm saying? Where you go and you sit with your key people and you say, all right, not just I'm thinking about having an event, but let's get it all together. Like we're actually going to do an event. And perhaps this particular person, maybe not Jordan, but maybe somebody else that's like her, says, you know what? I need an event planner. Ding, 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 ding. Come on, roles and responsibilities. Come on, roles and responsibilities. You know what I'm saying? So this is a perfect opportunity where the event planner might even have people that they work with, and they might have a team. And then so you want to make sure you understand everybody's role on the event planning team. Now, that's actually a good question. For those of you that are that have an agency or event planning team, squad, what is it? What's the new, this is my term that I've just recently found out, experimental design. experiential design. I think that's what it's called. But it like creating an immersive experience, I think. Anywho, roles and responsibilities. The point here is that you would identify who's working on this project. I think, and then who's the POC? Who's the POC? And I think for both people, for both entities that are working together, it's important to note that if a graphic designer or if someone is working on a particular piece or element of this of the event, that if information is coming from that person, that CEO should know who those people are, if that makes sense. So for example, if you have a podcast tour, oh, I love to talk about a good old podcast tour because, you know, it's happening everywhere. People just going from city to city. I would think that if there are contractors that are being hired, because maybe, like you said, you'll hire an event coordinator for this, an event manager, then maybe you have a graphics person, you have a videographer, you have a content creator, you have someone that does experiential design, you have someone who does set design or something like that. I would, if I were the person that is the podcast media person, I would want to know how and who, where is the information coming from? Which is why when we talk about communication and project management technology, we want to know where this information is coming from, how often, and what are the communication protocols. So that's why roles and responsibilities should be directly linked to communication and PM tech. So are we all in Slack together? Is it me and the whole team? Or is it me and the PM, the event planner? Are all three of us together and somebody else in a Slack group? Project success, let's not push that to the side. What does it mean for this project to be successful as it relates to the project goals and objectives? And what does the client view as project success? Oftentimes we have a standard. We as the PM have the standard for how we want a project to be executed, but have we considered the client's success and their outlook on that? I think that's good. Any questions on that? Because we can shake and bake on that for a minute. Deliverables, being very clear on what's being produced. A podcast tour, each city, 10-city tour, we're producing a podcast. Hello. If we are creating an app, launching a product, a service, something like that, we're outlining what we're producing. You're making sure that you understand, again, communication and PM tech, project management tools, Slack, whatever else. Where is information being stored? How is it going to be communicated? You need an internal communications plan for that. And then next steps. You're talking about next steps. One thing I definitely want to outline here too, and I left this off because we could go in for the next 2 hours about this, but we don't have that kind of time. Identifying risks. I have a reel coming out on four tips for project managers when they are planning their kickoff meetings. Identify risks early. Risks are, as if some of you all don't know, risks are the negative impact, or positive, it could be positive, the negative impact that a particular event may have on a project. You want to make sure, for sure, that you have identified those. And the next steps, because there's always adjustments that need to be made. So you always want to make sure for the adjustments and for the next steps and clarification points, you'll have someone that's taking notes for the note-taking piece. And you're going to want to save that to your PM tool or to wherever storage that you have. And what do you do afterwards? Excuse me. The aftermath, you review action items and notes. You send a thank you email, send with action items and notes. You update the PM tool with post email action items. And that's all I have for you all tonight. But how do you all feel about that? Any questions that people have? Any questions that you all have so far? This was lovely. Any questions on project kickoff meetings? What you should do before, during the meeting, and afterwards? My friends, project kickoff meetings really help set the tone. You're able to make sure and ensure that you're on the same page. You can also make adjustments, which is a great thing, being able to make adjustments. And it also builds camaraderie among you and the team and the client. Or if you're doing an internal project, you're able to foster that team development in that meeting. And yeah, project kickoff meetings are crucial. Being able to set the tone and being able to make sure everybody understands their role, the responsibility, what the mission is, and how to accomplish it. So if that's it, please be sure to do a couple things. Share this live stream with about 5 to 10 project leaders. Also, I have a Substack, so join me throughout the week. I'm sharing different project insights, some behind the scenes information. There's so much that goes on in the world of being a project manager. I want you to join in on the discussions, add your comments to what's being presented out here and the information and the content that's being produced. Thank you all so much for joining me, and we'll be back. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Have a great rest of the evening. Bye.